I used to think that like as a leader, I had to carry all the weight, right? Like I had to be the first one in the office and the last one out of the office. I had to do the most. I had to be, hands-on in everything. And I got to a point where like the overload was insane. And I realized through conversations with a couple other people that if I wasn't sleeping well, if I wasn't eating well, if I wasn't, taking care of my physical fitness and things like that, recharging emotionally and all those sort of things, that, yeah, I was showing up and technically I was in the position of leadership, but I wasn't actually leading because I was basically a zombie at that point. And so I started to research this a lot and look at some different things and some different data. And one of the data points that was really interesting to me was a study done several years back in the US that showed that someone who slept less than 6 hours a night for a prolonged period of like a week or more, essentially when they show up every day to work, they're showing up with the same, basically intoxicated. So if you were to take someone who had consumed enough alcohol to be intoxicated and someone who hadn't slept well for the same time period, their response times and things like that were basically the same. And so to think about that, like I'm not sleeping because I think I have to work all these extra hours and be on all the time. And that means that I'm showing up essentially, inebriated and unable to lead well. That kind of thing just got me thinking, wow, if I really want to live out what I'm saying and what I'm telling people, I have to take a step back. And I used to think it was selfish to take time off because people needed me, right? It's probably selfish and arrogant because it's a combination of like, I don't want to not be here for people, but also thinking like, I'm so important, I have to be here, right? But if you've hired good people and you've developed them and coached them and resourced them well, and you've given them the latitude to own their space in your organization, then you shouldn't have to be there all the time, right? You should be able to take a break. You should be able to unplug for a week. But I think a lot of leaders fall into that trap thinking they have to be the one. And what ends up happening is we just sort of move through life without actually being effective leaders, even if we've got the title.